Well,
You know, I
before you move on, can you talk at all about like what happened? I mean, people should go
yeah,
check out the
yeah.
book. It's the Out of the Darkness. I got my copy. I've been want to make sure it's really, it's an interesting take, and it's something that incident was actually shared as a learning point to other JTACs, and became a training point of making sure you understand that it's hard, if not impossible, to tell when you're attacking a target 50 meters in front of you with a gun run from an A-10. It's like a
Yeah.
so I don't know what you want to talk
I
about
mean,
with it, but
John Dillard was he. I think he's one of the ones that he was teaching that at the schoolhouse, and then
mm-hmm.
I think even Ryan German was teaching that too when he was at EWTG Lant. But yeah, I mean, we went up there for the PR mission, and of course, like we had to make our GRGs when we got up there. Um, the mission changed like 3 or 4 times when we were up there. Like, we initially went up there because we're going to recover a body, and then they switched it and they're like, hey, you're going to take the commando team into a place inside that was up at BMG near Fob Todd. They wanted us to push into like the area that was called the Bowling Alley that no one had been since I think it was like May of 2008. No one had been in there, and it
Mm-hmm.
was known like enemy territory. Um, to this day, I still don't understand why we did that. Like, it didn't make sense to me. And then we didn't have the assets that we requested or needed. I mean, initially we had Bone and like an MQ1 or MQ9 on, like just a Pred and Bone, which is like you can't do close air support with those two assets. And then
Everybody loves the B1, but the practicality of it is it's just it takes time to employ. It's just got such a long, I don't know, flight, to get
yeah,
set up
like
and
a
stuff.
4 minute leg to get those guys just in position half the time, and then you know I dropped a lot with B1s on my next deployment because that's pretty much all we got out in the middle of nowhere up in Darboom. But I mean, it has its place. But when
For
you're
sure.
and close, within
Urban.
100 meters of the enemy, yeah, it's really hard to employ something. You want something that can tip in quick with a good gun. So we did get A-10s for that, and we walked in on foot, so you know, they knew we were coming the whole time, and we had some. It was pretty shady because like when we first got there and did coordination, they had Afghans in the American jocks with us, like secret stuff open, being with Afghans with their radio. I mean, it was just. I got this eerie feeling. I was like, this is the Wild West, and something bad's going to happen. There was just no operational security at all. Um, I think that actually did come out in the investigation. But either way, they had Afghan police with us, and those guys aren't known to be, straight shooters. But either way, we went in. We got to like the traffic circle area where it's like the main bazaar area, and that was kind of like the last departure point. And it was like the Wild West. There was like weeds blowing. There was nobody around. You're like, get your game face on. It's about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time we got to what they call the bowling alley, which is basically it was a east-west running alley that had I think 12-foot walls on both sides, and it was just basically narrow enough where you could put a car down it, and that's where it kicked off. I mean, we got pinned down early on. I started dropping. We dropped 3 GBU, I think 12s or 54s on buildings immediately. Um, you know, I remember turning around, getting ready to maneuver, and somebody shot a Gustav right next to me. I get blown over. I'm like, oh, like I mean, the Carl G will freaking it rang me good, almost knocked me out.
Yeah,
And
backblast is
then
no joke.
yeah, it put me down. Like I was like, oh, I thought we got hit, but then I look up and I'm like, oh, it's our guy shooting the Carl G. Great.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, and then we got to those buildings that we destroyed. We finally maneuvered to them. And then at about that time, and I'm probably gonna mess this all up because I haven't talked about it in a while. But me and Captain Glover, we moved north to kind of check out potential CASEVAC positions, and then kind of try to figure out how we were going to go about doing this. And then that's when like our SARC corpsman guy got shot through the neck, and then our human guy got shot I think he got shot in the femur, or really bad in the leg, and they got sniped off a roof basically. So we ran back to what we thought were, buildings 5 and 6 or whatever on the GRG. I was completely disoriented. I didn't know where I was. I thought I was in the next buildings down. So, and we're taking like sustained fire. We're like, dude, they're going to come through here any minute. And I'm like, let's get some guns down. There's some woods, some tree lines that were right outside basically the walls that we were, inside. So I was like, let's get some A-10s down on them. And so I called him in. On the initial pass, he came in, and I'm like, he's nose at me. So I aborted him. I was like, that's freaking weird. And then the second guy came in, he tipped in, and he looked good, and I cleared him hot. And it came right on me. I mean, it hit us. Like, we were all on. I think we were on the north side of the building or something, all lined up on that building, and he strafed east to west right down us. I watched a guy get shredded, like he just pink misted in front of me, like disappeared. And I got blown off across, basically around the wall. So I don't even think I got hit. And then once we figure out what the heck was going on, I boarded the aircraft, called it in that, that was us, that this was, that we had, that I had strafed my own target, or our own friendlies. And then that's when we called back. The ODA guys had been north of our position. They were kind of just another element north of us, kind of doing their own thing. We were trying to basically frog leap. So we called them back down to help us, sort the casualties. And, at that moment, I got on my Captain Glover was hit really bad in the leg. So I think I put 4 tourniquets on him, and got him stabilized. And then, once we figured out, we weren't going to be able to move these guys all back on foot. We started talking about a medevac, and I marked. We threw a yellow smoke outside the wall, just to mark our position. And then I don't know what happened, but basically a CH-47 came in and landed on the smoke, and we're like, well, we better get these guys in. So we started moving. I had Captain Glover and another guy helped me with him, get him on the chopper. And they landed on the south side of the building that we were getting shot at from. And the nose of the aircraft, when it landed, was pointing straight at the enemy. They had a machine gun position there. So our whole team was inside the chopper when an RPG went through the front of the aircraft. It went through the front of the aircraft, in between the pilot and co-pilot, went through the control panels, flew all the way to the back of the aircraft and stuck in the back of the aircraft. And I guess it didn't go high order. It just stayed there. So they either didn't pull the pin, or it was just a bad fuse or whatever.
So crazy.
We didn't know this till after, obviously. But our whole team was in when it happened. And then we got everybody on, and I got off with the rest of the guys. And then for a while, we didn't know if they were going to actually they were talking about making us continue mission, even with all those casualties. And then finally, Captain Finley, who was the ODA captain, I think he made the decision, like, no, dude, we're headed back. So we packed it up and moved back to Fob Todd. So yeah, that was, and when we got back to the Fob Todd, the aircraft that medevac was sitting there. I find out later, freaking my buddy Rod, they got shot through the neck. I mean, I thought he was dead. He's so bad. I was like, you know, I'm never gonna see him again. I mean, he took us through and through to the neck, like
Jeez.
for less than an inch, one way or the other, he would have been dead. Like, and I deployed with him when I went over, you know, to DAMNAC or to DEVGRU. He was there with me. He's just got cool scars, you know, a lot cooler scars than I do.